If I had to sum up today's entire video in a single word, it would be vibes. I'm a big fan of facts, evidence, proof, receipts, but one thing that often gets overlooked are the vibes. And today, that's what we're going off of. Because Forbes has just released their list of the top 50 influencers of 2024, and I'm gonna be honest, many of the people on this list do not pass the vibe check. So I thought it would be fun to go through the list and take the who's who of influencers and give them a pass-fail rating based on whether or not the vibes are right. But first, welcome, my name is D'Angelo, and I am your professor of paranormal videography, which is a very real degree that I definitely do have. Or maybe this is just me broadcasting myself talking in my room like YouTube used to be. And in today's lecture, I have elected myself as the vibe arbiter. If you're wondering what qualifies me specifically to be the vibe jury of all these other people, it's a good question, but it's one I never stop to ask. So Forbes has been releasing this list for years now, and to this day, I still have no idea how the methodology works. Forbes say they estimated each creator's gross earnings between June 2023 and June 2024, and then they took their engagement rates and also ranked everyone on a 1 to 4 scale measuring entrepreneurship. Fairly elaborate way of saying we kind of just made it up, but I understand where they're coming from because this sort of thing is hard to quantify. But alas, by these metrics, that means that the #1 influencer of 2024 is none other than Mr. Beast. Go ahead and give it up, everybody, for Mr. Beast. Probably the one person on this list I don't have to introduce, nor do I have to offer an explanation for why he does not pass the vibe check. In fact, I would go a step further and say Mr. Beast doesn't register on the vibe scale at all. I'm picking up nothing from these eyes. All right, so at number 2, we have Darman. And Darman does not pass the vibe check. Sorry, Dar. 50 billion views, 32 million followers on Facebook alone, all for these whacked out morality tales, which I think are only appealing to children. Or at least I hope children are the main audience for Nerd finally gets revenge on her bully. Anyway, all that is fine, but to be making that much money while having your actors and workers go on strike last year because they were protesting the fact that you weren't paying them living wages and the working conditions were terrible, gonna have to side with the employees here over the big influencer and say Darman does not pass the vibe check. All right, so at number 3, we have Matt Rife. Bro, I cannot do this. Okay, Matt Rife does not pass the vibe check. He's one of those Netflix stand-up comedy guys who tried to build a whole brand based off of women find me attractive, and then immediately turned around and made misogynistic jokes on his Netflix stand-up special. This was widely covered last year, very embarrassing, and I started to make a video about it. I literally still have the outline and the script, and I have been sitting on this for a year, but I kid you not, this man was literally so annoying that I just gave up on my video. I was like, I can't do it. I cannot. Imagine being so unfunny that I can't even get through your comedy special to point out why I find it unfunny. But yeah, this guy got called out for ableism, misogyny, who knows what else, because I honestly just had to move on. All right, number 4, we have Charli D'Amelio. I would give Charli D'Amelio a not applicable. I think I would rate her an NA on the vibe scale because I don't really know anything about her at this point. She seems like a nice person, but I really couldn't tell you because I am very much not in her target demographic. All right, at number 5, we have the Stokes twins. I had to look them up, but I'm gonna have to say no, I'm sorry. The Stokes twins do not pass the vibe check. I mean, first of all, the fact that they have 94 million subscribers and I have literally never heard of these people, how does that even happen? But anyway, this is just a Mr. Beast clone. Subscribe for a cookie. I built a secret Lamborghini dealership. Hey, look, guys, boobs on the thumbnail, even though this content is like 100% being marketed towards children, right? Like, is that not kind of weird? Nah, fam. All right, so at number 6, we have Dixie D'Amelio. She is Charli's sister, and I would also have to say NA. I don't really know anything about her. At number 7, we have Mark Rober. Mark Rober makes science videos, and that's about all I know. I've definitely seen his content before, and it looks like he used to work for NASA, so I guess I'm gonna give him an NASA. All right, next up, we've got Alex Cooper from Call Her Daddy. Now, some of y'all might find it funny that I keep rating people NA, but the truth of the matter is, I take vibes very seriously. I can't just look at somebody and say they fail a vibe check if I haven't seen enough to pick up on the vibe. But what with her hosting a podcast, this actually seems like a great time to bring up something I have wanted to talk about for a while. What in the world is wrong with podcasts right now? I have the top 10 podcasts pulled up from the US, and we've got Joe Rogan, Theo Vaughn, who I'm pretty sure had Trump on, Tucker Carlson, I don't know who Sean Ryan is. Then we've got Call Her Daddy at number 5, and seeing as she was able to beat out Candace Owens, in a weird way, I am tempted to say thank you, Alex Cooper, for just putting a dent in the weirdly conservative podcast territory. I have no idea what is going on with the state of popular podcasts, but it's terrifying. But at the same time, I've never actually listened to a word of this podcast. That's why I have to give it an NA, because I have no idea. Normalize not knowing things. I just straight up don't know. All right, so at number 9, we've got Rhett and Link. Rhett and Link passed the vibe check. Good Mythical Morning is like a YouTube staple at this point. Every year, Link's hair gets taller, Rhett's face gets bushier, but the vibes are never off. It's honestly impressive how they've maintained them for this long. So 2 thumbs up for Rhett and Link. All right, so at number 10, we've got Kabi Lame, and I don't understand TikTok. That's how I feel when I think about Kabi Lame. So I'm gonna rate this a TTSM for TikTok scares me. All right, number 11, we have Drewski. I like Drewski in this one meme. This is a very funny image. This is honestly me after saying anything remotely controversial. So the Drewski meme passes the vibe check. All right, number 12, Logan Paul. Oh, buddy. For Lunchly, for your Crypto Zoo scam, for basically everything you've done, absolutely do not pass the vibe check. Y'all, this list is not it. This list is not it, y'all. Okay, maybe it'll turn around. Or maybe number 13 will be Jake Paul. Great. Fail. I don't understand their longevity. It needs to be studied at this point. How do you go from uploading trashy vlog content to fighting Mike Tyson? Why is this the timeline we live in right now? What happened to the one where nobody paid attention to Jake Paul ever again? Anyway, moving on. So number 14, we've got Emma Chamberlain. Emma passes the vibe check. I actually really like what Emma Chamberlain has done with her career. She blew up for relatable vlogs, but then got famous to the point where Vogue is inviting her to the Met Gala. And yet, this woman is still determined to be as relatable as one can while attending the Met Gala. And I think she does a fun job. I think she's really cool. Met Gala, again, is just such a funny vlog title. Shout out Emma. I think there's far worse people we could be giving our attention to. All right, so we've got number 15, Typical Gamer. I am not a gamer content person. Shout you out. I have to give him an NA. And then we've got Markiplier. Bro, this ain't even a question. Mark passes the vibe check. I mean, he knocks everybody else off this list. If y'all think I'm about to sit here and slander Markiplier of all people, fine God, honestly. There are so few people on the internet where I would say there is genuinely nothing to criticize about them, but I have to put Mark in that boat. We made the right person famous for once. Yay. All right, number 17, Marquez Brownlee. Sorry, I'm laughing because I'm called to mind of his recent controversy with panels where he was charging people $50 a year for phone wallpapers. I talked about it in a video before, but to his credit, he did seem to bounce back from that. I would say MKBHD's vibes are under review at the moment. Is that a fair assessment? That seems fair. All right, so number 18, we've got Brent Rivera, and absolutely not. No, vibe check failed immediately. Brent Rivera's content creeps me out so much. It's just like off-putting. I exposed the world's most evil babysitters. It's all weirdly fake and it's giving AI generated. In one thumbnail, we've got toddlers in diapers. In the next, we've got hella women in bikinis. Like, bro, it's really weird. I try not to dismiss people based solely off their content without watching it, but in this case, I'm fine doing that. It's a no from me, Brent. All right, number 19, we've got Adam W. This is my first time reading this name, so I have to say NA. Danny Austin, Ryan Kaji. Wait, I do know this one. This is Ryan's toy review. Unfortunately, Ryan passes the vibe check because this is a 12-year-old, I think, but his channel does not. Ryan's family have had this child working full-time since he was like able to move. You should not have a 10-year YouTube career and be 12 years old. Stuff like this greatly concerns me. I don't understand how people are allowed to do this, but this just is not okay. I don't care if they're saving his money, trying to do everything right. If you have a child and you turn them into your main source of income, you are weird, period. You're not gonna sit here and convince me that this 2-year-old's dream was to make YouTube toy review content, and this is all he's wanted to do for the past 10 years. Y'all some weirdos for real, for real. Anyway, sorry, Ryan. And you know, on the off chance that he's completely happy, that's what I would prefer, but moving on. All right, so we've got Miss Rachel. She seems to make content for small children, but like actually content for small children, not weird AI generated creepy stuff. I remember when like this used to be the norm for people who entertain children, just making like soft, gently appealing content so as not to overstimulate. But anyway, based off of that, I would say she passes the vibe check just for being a kid's content creator and not posting unhinged cringe. All right, number 23, we've got Jacksepticeye. Absolute pass, 100%, never a question from me. It's Jacksepticeye. I mean, come on. All right, number 24, Kai Cenat. This guy is always screaming. That's the only thing I know about him. He even looks like he's screaming in this picture. The absolute state of Twitch. Anyway, Nick Merckx appears to be another streamer, aka the guy who was, I guess, banned from Twitch after using an anti-trans slur. He got his content removed from Call of Duty after a homophobic tweet. They should leave little children alone. That's the real issue, which is an unhinged response to a video of LGBT people being attacked. So yeah, the only time I hear this guy, he's just being hateful. So fail. What do you mean? All right, number 26, Nick Giovanni. Seems to cook. I like food. Pass? Question mark? Josh Richards. Y'all are losing me. NA? Fail? Pass? I don't know, fam. We've got XQC. I'm gonna say XQC does not pass the vibe check. He's a Kick streamer. So it's like, nah, fam. Literally anybody who is like active on Kick immediately is put on like vibes hold, in my opinion. He could be fine, but this website is just not it. We've got Zach King. I'm gonna say NA. We've got Alex Earl, who is another podcaster. I'm gonna give her an NA as well. We've got Livy Dunn, who seems to be a gymnast. Honestly, congrats to her. That's pretty fire. We've got Addison Rae at number 32. And this may be somewhat confusing, but I think she passes the vibe check. I told myself that 2024 was the year where I don't believe in guilty pleasures anymore. No more being embarrassed over things I like. I like Addison Rae's music, period. Like, not her first music that she released. It was very much kind of giving TikToker trying to be musician. But what many people may not know is that after that, she has continued to release and improve. And I'm gonna be honest, her new stuff is banging. The song Diet Pepsi, I really would put that on repeat in a heartbeat. So I don't know much about Addison Rae, but I like her music and I'm not embarrassed about it anymore. All right, so at number 33, we've got Michaela Noguera. I would have to say NA. NA for Jake Shane. Alexa Rivera. Oh, wait, no, she's from Brent Rivera's channel. Sorry, vibe check failed. I cannot stress enough. This guy is the worst. We've got Bailey Sarian. I have no idea. True crime, murder mystery, stuff like that. I think that's her bag. We've got Flajay Johnson. This is another athlete. Shout out the athletes. Justine at number 38. Admittedly, I haven't thought about Justine in a while, but it makes me happy to see her here. Vibe check passed. I feel like Justine, you just had to be there. Like, yes, she's still thriving now, but the time when she was popping off was really just like a different era. Oh my God, it's Justine and Rosanna Pansino from 7 years ago. Literally, even just this thumbnail, the vibe of everything was so different 7 years ago. You did not have to do nearly as much to succeed on YouTube. You basically just needed like good lighting, clear enough audio, a decent personality. Like, you did not have to go crazy with the editing the way people do nowadays. But yeah, shout out Justine. Vibe check pass. All right, we've got Alan Chicken Chow. I would have to give him an NA. Same for Nara Smith, Monet, McMichael, Drew Afualo. I have heard of. I've only ever heard good things about Drew. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure she passes the vibe check for sure. I will say this though, for the longest time, I thought I didn't like her, but it was not her fault. Her podcast is called The Comment Section with Drew Afualo, and I got it confused with the comment section with Brett Cooper, which is like this weirdo conservative YouTube channel. A plague of trans activism. The media's last-ditch effort to label Trump as Hitler. Sorry, Obama. Black men want Trump to... Girl, you better keep our name out your mouth. Yeah, not a fan of this comment section, but I kept seeing Drew Afualo get hyped up on the internet, and I was like, bro, why are people so into this conservative lady? Not realizing this is not the same thing at all. The shows just have the same name. So I was very, very, very happy to learn that Drew Afualo actually kind of rocks. At least in comparison to that nonsense. But yeah, that's not a story about Drew being bad. That's just a story about me being stupid. Next up, we've got Jordan the Stallion. I would have to say NA. Haley Bailey gets an NA, but that's a great name. Ian Boggs, NA, I'm sorry. Savannah Moss. Brooke Monk. We've got Mine Win. Drea Knows Best. Man, I really fell off. I fell off at the end of this list. Amelie Zober, bro. And like, to be clear, everyone I just mentioned is like orders of magnitude more popular than I am. So me not knowing who they are isn't like some weird flex. There are just way too many popular people online. But yeah, that was all 50 though. And when Mr. Beast, Darman, and Matt Rife are your top 3 on a list that also contains the Paul brothers, Brent Rivera, and homophobic transphobes, I think the only way I can sum up my reaction to this list is thank you, Markiplier and Jacksepticeye. We all say in unison. Shout out, I just Justine, Good Mythical Morning, all the YouTubers who managed to make it this far without being absolute weirdos. You all make me a lot less embarrassed to make videos. Anyway, I'm gonna go put on some Addison Rae. I don't care. Hand me the ox. We bumpin' Diet Pepsi. But that's my take on the situation. Dave's take on the situation is that there should be a number 0 spot because he is more famous than even Mr. Beast, which I have to agree with. And I am of course excited to hear your take. I mean, this is the part of the video where a layman would ask you to subscribe, like the video, and leave a comment, but I will ask you to enroll, evaluate the video, and submit your feedback. Because I'm of course running a 100% completely, totally, all the way, okay, maybe not really, somewhat unaccredited university. Probably. Just ask anybody in the student body and they'll confirm it for you. We're totally legit. And as for me, whether you'll see me in 24 hours or 24 months is honestly anyone's guess, but until then, thanks for watching. Your homework for today is to make your own Forbes list of people who actually matter. Put your dog on there, your baby, and put yourself at the top. You're doing great.